Let's take you directly to Lower Manhattan, where there was more testimony today during Donald Trump's criminal trial. Among them was Keith Davidson. He is the attorney who once represented Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. CBS News national correspondent and anchor over here on our stream is Errol Barnett. He has been following, of course, every instant of that trial. He's joining us now with a lot more. Errol, what more can you tell us about that testimony heard in court today, and why is this character significant?
Hey there, Lilia. Great to see you again today as we approach the end of what has been another full day of testimony. The big headline, before I get to the answer to your question, is that Judge Juan Merchan has fined Donald Trump $9,000 and holding him in contempt for violating his gag order some 9 times. And the judge specifically pointed to posts on Truth Social. That's what the prosecution brought forward as evidence, and posts on Donald Trump's 2024 campaign website. So by now, those are Trump has been told to remove those posts. But to get some insight in what's happening in the courtroom behind me before the hearing adjourns for the day is CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates, who has been listening to the testimony of Keith Davidson. This is another witness now who is helping connect dots between what David Pecker said last week and really getting closer to Donald Trump and his decision making. Why is Keith Davidson key, and what did he say?
Davidson is really the second key player in this whole story that we've gotten to hear from. He, as you mentioned, he represented Stormy Daniels at a key moment in this story when a payment was made to her in order to suppress a story that she had about an alleged sexual encounter with Trump. And what he's described of that so far is kind of being brought in when the deal was almost already in place. He was brought in essentially to finalize this agreement with Michael Cohen, who was representing Trump at the time. And then he described frustration on behalf of his client as days dragged on from early October toward late October and no payment was made. He said that Michael Cohen put forth a series of excuses, blaming the Secret Service for firewalls, things he said he didn't really buy. And he said he got the impression at some point that they were trying to kick the can down the road. And that's, in his words, past the election, so that maybe they wouldn't have to pay at all, but they could prevent Daniels from telling her story to voters before the election. Now, that phrase, kicking the can down the road, why is that so central and key to the prosecution's 34 felony counts against Donald Trump? Because when people discuss this case, they say, oh, it's hush money, it's an NDA. These things aren't necessarily illegal. The prosecution is alleging a connection between the money paid and the election. Why is that so important to this case? Right, so that his suspicion dating back to October that year kind of supports what is the prosecution's allegations, that it wasn't just that eventually there's falsified business records, but that the purpose of making this payment to Stormy Daniels, of reimbursing Michael Cohen later on, was to break election law, that there was an intent there to keep this information out, to pay money to keep this information out of the public eye before the 2016 presidential election. What else are you seeing inside the courtroom? Because today, for the first time, we're seeing a few dozen pro-Trump supporters in this park across the street. Some MAGA trucks have been driving by. Eric Trump is in the courtroom. This is the first time we've seen a Trump child take part in watching these proceedings. And Texas's former Attorney General Ken Paxton is in the mix today. What are you seeing inside as far as how they're communicating with each other and the former president? That's what's really interesting. So much of that, I think, is just for us outside watching. Inside the courtroom, sure, Paxton is there and Eric Trump is there, but they're sitting in the gallery just ahead of all of the reporters, not taking part in any of this. Eric Trump is watching the exhibits come up on the screen just like the rest of us. He doesn't seem to be showing much reaction, nor does Trump himself. Ken Paxton was hunched over, kind of leaning forward, watching these exchanges take place with Keith Davidson, but they're not participating in the defense. They're there. Eric Trump might be there to support his father. Ken Paxton might be there for some other reason. I understand he intends to make some comments about this, but he's not participating in any way inside the courtroom. And although Judge Juan Merchan levied this $9,000 fine against Trump, the penalties aren't over. What happens to Thursday? Sure. So the $9,000 also, that's one for each violation, $1,000 for each violation. That's the maximum he's allowed to levy according to New York state law. Although he mentioned that further violations could carry with them the risk of jail. And that's that is spelled out in New York statutes, and he reiterated it in his decision. On Thursday, there will be additional alleged violations that the prosecutors brought up last week that will be considered. And again, now those violations were made before today's contempt finding, so it won't be like that's considered further violation of today's ruling.
Right.
But prosecutors have said that that those new posts were from the original gag order, violating those. Sorry, that's a lot.
It's a lot to digest because there's so much happening, Lilia, and this is just the second week of testimony, and we haven't heard from Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer who was turned on him. We haven't heard from Stormy Daniels or Karen McDougal. Those witness lists are kept close to the vest by the prosecution because of the intimidation they feared would come from Donald Trump. But as soon as we know more, we'll bring it to you, of course, right here on CBS News.
I know you both will remain very busy. Errol and Graham, thanks so much. Good to see you.